It's a Christmas piece of string. Fa la 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 la.
Hello and welcome to A Piece of String, the show that brings together comedians and scientific minds to ask and maybe answer the biggest of all questions ever. I'm Matthew Shribman. I'm a chemist and some might say a biophysicist, and with me today are Fran Grimes, a biochemist.
Hello.
Sophie Ward, a biomedic and neuroscience enthusiast.
Hello. Sorry. Hello.
Oh, you've missed your chance.
Sorry.
And James Wells, an engineer.
Hello there.
Three of us, and three of us only, will ask a question to which one of us secretly knows the answer. And points will be allocated on a entirely arbitrary basis by our producer, Sam Lee. And since this is the Christmas special, the winner will get this Maltesers Advent Calendar, which to this very day still has days 14 through to 24, excluding day 20, with chocolate inside of them. Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Okay, so first question today is going to come from me. Santa has fallen off his sled and he has no electronic equipment or compass. What's the quickest way of working out which hemisphere, north or south, he is in?
Bloody hell.
Oh, wait, go on, Fran.
What if he's on the equator? Dead on.
Then he doesn't have to, does he?
Shame on him.
Well, there's a line.
Yeah.
On the,
Game over.
There's a line on the ground, isn't there?
Oh, yeah,
where the
big
equator
red.
is.
Yeah.
So you'd know straight
Point.
away.
Good point.
Are you slightly heavier on the equator or slightly lighter?
Slightly heavier.
You are, because there's a bit more of a bulge of the earth.
Bulgy.
underneath you.
Yeah, bulgy. Much
Bit
like
bulgy.
Santa's. Yeah.
Wait, why are you heavier on the equator because of a bulge?
Because the Earth's kind of bulging in the middle. That's why what's that tall mountain called again? The one in Ecuador?
Oh, not Everest.
Not Everest. Taller than Everest.
No,
It's got a name.
Hang on. Taller than Everest?
Yeah, the mountain in Ecuador is like further above the core of the Earth.
Right, because it's on the equator.
Chimborazo, that's it. That's a
good
bigger
work.
Good
bigger
work.
Oh, I remembered.
So
So how would Santa know where he was?
Tricky.
If there was a storm nearby, I've heard that storms spin in different directions in the northern and southern hemispheres.
Oh, nice.
In one hemisphere they're clockwise and one they're anti-clockwise.
wait, but we get cyclones and anticyclones, right?
Do we?
Yeah. So that they spin in opposite directions, don't they?
Oh, my goodness me. I thought hurricanes always spin in the same direction as they whistle off to New Orleans.
Wait, it's got a name. It's got a name. Hang on, the effect.
It's called, I do know what the effect's called.
the Coriolis effect. Is that
Coriolis
right?
effect, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I've remembered that.
I always spin in the same direction.
Do you? What's the thing you do in the woods where is it like a pine needle you put on some water and it spins in a particular way?
Oh, like in one of the in like a Wes Anderson film.
I think it's in Moonrise Kingdom, maybe.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like magnetic field of the earth. You make your own little compass out of.
Maybe not with a pine needle. You must need a normal needle, right?
It's a needle. Yeah.
Yours sound like
it's
a
just a
needle.
needle.
So you basically
a standard
making a
needle.
compass.
A fine needle.
What it is like, if
You're
you
more
literally-
likely to find that than a proper needle, though, aren't you?
If you
That
get a
is
bar
true.
magnet on a string and you just hold it, you suspend it from something, it will turn around just to face the.
But then if in our question though, he doesn't have a compass, and I think that means he's not
Doesn't
going
have
to
a
have
compass, I suppose,
make
yeah.
a compass.
Drumlins is a good way to navigate.
Drumlins is in like the geographical,
The hills.
like the hills.
So you know those hills that are kind of like a gradual slope and then suddenly like chop like really steep down the other end.
Yeah.
So they kind of look like a forehead with like some slicked back hair that goes back into the distance.
Or like one of those cycling helmets that's really sleek.
like cycling
So
helmet.
what's
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get
I've never
eroded
heard
on the
this.
sunny
Yeah.
side or
GCSE
something?
geography.
No, it's that basically all the glaciers that heading away from the poles like meet a really solid bit of earth and then they kind of drag all the earth out behind it. So the steep bit always faces the pole, but I don't know how you tell the difference between north and south.
I've
Yeah,
never
that's tricky, isn't
thought
it?
that glaciers always move away from the poles.
They do, don't they?
Oh my god, I've never thought that.
Mm.
Wow.
Are we also assuming that Santa's travelling at night, of course, in the hours after dark, so we can't just track the sun movement, for example?
No, I think it's just the quickest way.
But why is he on his sled if it's still daytime? That's my bigger
Yeah,
question.
but he could have.
You guys know that Australia, well, let's just say Australia, like the southern hemisphere has shorter summers than the northern hemisphere.
Didn't know.
Why is that
I don't
then?
know why. It's something to do with like the ellipse that the Earth takes around the sun. Just their summers are like a little bit shorter, a few days.
Really?
How do you judge that though? Is it how do you judge when the summer begins and ends? Is it from
Someone begins when
Sun's out, guns out.
yeah?
Yes.
Summer begins. Summer begins as soon as a British person goes. Oh, it's a bit too warm now.
Yeah.
Wish I hadn't complained when it was cold. That's when summer begins.
Taps off. 1 day of sun followed by 1 day of rain is the
Taps
start of summer.
off.
Taps off.
Oh, tops off. Yeah. Taps off. Okay. Yeah. Constellations. Are there different constellations in the northern and southern hemisphere?
Yeah, you got the Big Dipper, ain't you, and Polaris and all that jazz in the north.
you can see the whole of the Milky Way from the southern hemisphere on a clear night.
No way.
You can see it like a band across the sky of like thick, kind of misty whiteness.
Oh my
That's
goodness,
really
that's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah,
we're like
absolutely.
right at the edge of the Milky Way. So from the northern hemisphere, we're kind of looking out of the Milky Way. And from the southern hemisphere, you're looking into it, so you can like see that thick.
Way.
Oh, damn it, that noise
that's
again.
horrid. The slurp of stars.
Does anyone have an answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of an
good
answer over here.
soul,
Yeah, so
James.
there's a few
Christmassy
things.
answer.
There's a few things you
Ho,
can
ho,
do.
ho.
This is so Christmassy. You can put a stick in the ground, right? Just like
pine
you all do
stick?
at Christmas. Do you remember- it's my favourite part of the Christmas festivities.
tradition.
When we put the stick in the mud. And what you can do is, as the sun tracks its merry way across the sky, if you plot where the shadows are, where the end of the stick is, the end of the shadow during the day,
Oh yeah.
if it's moving clockwise, you'll be in the northern hemisphere, and if it moves anti-clockwise, you'll be in the southern hemisphere. So this only works if you're outside of the. So the further away from the equator, the more this is in it. Sort of intense effect. So that's something that you can do. If you're away from the equator, you can do that as a bit of a test.
Yeah.
But what about it's nighttime though?
Yeah.
I can't get over
If
the fact that it's nighttime.
Yeah, but if it's nighttime, you're sorted, aren't you? Because you can just look at the stars and you just go Polaris, or you go the Southern Cross, and then you're like, yeah, wicked, done,
Boom.
done. Mate. Santa would definitely know that.
Do you know lots of constellations, James? Can you see them
that's
in the
it.
sky?
That's it. That's what I've got.
Santa's got an iPhone with the app on, hasn't he? He's got elves working around the clock on it.
Yeah.
He's got constant updates.
Bet he's got a lot of storage. Bet he's got a lot of free storage as well. You know, he's got a lot of storage, but then he's got at least 50% unused.
I reckon he's got so much in the cloud.
Do you think? Yeah. He's probably really good at sorting it.
Yeah.
I'm always running out of storage.
Me
But
too.
most of his storage is probably just taken up with a list of all the children in the world. Naughty
Oh,
and
yeah,
nice.
it's phone book.
Spreadsheet, 100%.
Crazy.
Excel.
At least it's useful data.
Yeah.
Mine's just photos of my own face. And I really like this one. So in the southern hemisphere, you look at the moon, right? And it looks like the moon because you're from the southern hemisphere and you're used to that. And then you do the same in the northern hemisphere and you do the same thing. But in the northern hemisphere, it has a face. And then, it's the right way up. And then in the southern hemisphere, you look at the moon and it's got a face and it's the wrong way up.
Oh, my days. I've never
and then
thought
on the
about
equator,
that.
it's just sort of sideways. And it's fantastic, isn't it? So that's another way that you could possibly do it. You'd know at least that you were near. If you're away from the equator, it's always easier to work it out because obviously you've got more extreme effects. So that's another way of doing it. So it's all about being outside the tropics at the moment. So if you're outside the tropics, what else can you do? You can have a look at sunrise, sunset. And if it's if you've got like a shorter amount of time that is daylight than nighttime, you're in the winter. And then what that means is when the sun is at noon, you can work out which way is south, and then you'll know which one you're in. Because when the sun is at noon, you'll be pointing towards the equator, and you'll know you're in summer or winter at that time. If you know the date and you're near the poles, then you just got to if it's constantly daylight, you're all right.
Okay.
If it's constantly nighttime, so that's an easy one.
Would that tell you which pole you were at? It would just tell you were at a pole.
It would tell you which one you're at
Okay.
if you knew the date, because you'd be like, right, it's December, so it's winter in the
Of
northern
course, yeah,
hemisphere,
yeah.
and the sun has not risen at all. So therefore, I'm in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, or the other way around, which is nice. Or this is the best one. The main problem is if you're in the tropics, right? The tropics around the equator are where, at one point at least in the year, the sun is directly above you. If you're outside the tropics, you'll never have the sun directly above you. But if you're inside the
okay.
tropics, that's how the tropics are defined. And they're about 23 degrees away from the equator each way. So you've got that. So if you're in there, it's a bit more tricky. But you can use, you've probably heard of this thing, a Foucault pendulum.
Excuse me.
You know these things?
Yeah.
So you swing this big old pendulum, and if you imagine a pendulum and its momentum, and you bring yourself outside of the earth on some fixed reference point, you can imagine that pendulum would want to stay swinging in the same orientation all the time, right? So it would want to just continuously
You've
swing.
just like teleported out of the earth. with
Yeah.
your
So
pendulum.
So the pendulum's
on
not
Earth.
fixed on it.
Yeah,
The pendulum's on Earth,
Yeah.
and I'm at a fixed reference point outside the
You're
Earth.
looking at it from outside.
I'm looking at the Earth, and the Earth is rotating like this. As the Earth rotates, the pendulum wants to stay in the same orientation to the fixed reference point.
Oh, it's attached to that point up there.
No, I'm at the reference point looking at the pendulum on Earth.
Yeah.
There's no connection between us other than looking.
Other than love.
Yeah, but there's plenty of that. And as the Earth rotates around like this,
Yeah.
the pendulum tries to stay in the same orientation of swing, right?
Yeah.
But what's happening is the Earth is rotating around like this.
Take a spin around.
So to a spectator on Earth,
Yeah.
the pendulum appears to rotate its motion of swing.
Oh yeah.
that make sense?
Does it? Yeah.
So on the equator, you'd have none of that effect at all. It would remain exactly the same. And then on the pole, you'd have the swinging. If you were standing next to the pendulum, the swinging would go like
Round a
this,
circle.
round, and it would do a full 360 in 24 hours at the pole. At equator, it would do none. And therefore, if it goes clockwise, you know you're in one hemisphere. If it goes anti-clockwise, you know you're in the other.
Got it.
So he's got to make a ruddy pendulum, a massive pendulum.
He's not got much time to do it. 'cause He's a busy boy.
No. So yeah, there you go.
Is Santa a guy?
He usually has a big beard and he seems pretty guy-y to me, but he could be anything, couldn't he?
Yeah, because there's Santa and then there's Mrs. Claus, isn't there?
Mrs. Claus. She plays a pretty major role,
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
she?
she's vital. Behind every Santa is a stronger Mrs. Claus.
Should we do another little quizzy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quezzy. Unwrap the Quezzies.
Sophie,
Yeah.
you got a question for us?
Yeah, my question is, how many mince pies is too many mince pies? It's the festive season. There's lots of mince pies about, but how many is too many?
Have you ever done one of those competitions where you have to eat one single kind of food over like to ridiculous in a ridiculous quantity?
Oh, I mean,
No.
I've not done it competitively. Like I've done it,
What was it with?
everything, but I eat in excess a lot.
Everything. Got it.
I'm really bad at like buying probably like angel, like Mr. Kipling angel slices. That's one I hoof them down.
What about you, James?
Cheese.
You did a competition?
Yeah, just relentless kilograms of cheese.
How many kilograms?
Were they liquid?
Well, I arranged them into a long sort of spiral tube so I can just feed myself them.
How many of your
continuously.
orifices were you allowed to feed them into
Oh.
continuously in order to
Just
maximize rate?
one at a time.
One at a time.
What type of cheese?
kind of up and down.
What kind of cheese? Dairy Lee.
So
Oh,
it was creamy.
Cream.
that's clacky. You know?
Yeah.
That's going to slow you down.
Did you win?
Yeah, I was just playing against myself.
That sounds like a game in which there are only losers. Sadly enough.
Yes.
Not the one.
How about yourself, Matt? Have you ever done this?
Oh, I don't know.
You can
Eating
join me next
competition?
time.
I think I
No,
did
don't.
do. I
Don't
did do
want you.
one, but I'm quite ashamed of it now, based on what I've now learned about the world.
You've also done a spicy eating challenge, I believe.
Oh, I did do the spicy one. That was awful. I went on this like double date,
Mm.
and like we went on this date to eat this ridiculously hot burger. And
Ghost sauce.
What was it called? Ghost.
sauce.
But you just couldn't talk to one another. It was the most unsociable date I've ever had in my life. Like you just, as soon as you took the first bite, you were just like, everyone had this feeling of, yes, we're all going through this together. Like this is a horrendous experience. We all just have to hang on in there.
So it was
Every
like
now
a
and then-
challenge date.
It was horrible. Anyway, what were we doing? Mince
Wait,
pies.
Mince
Fran,
pies.
What about you, Fran? Have you
Mince
done an
pies.
eating
I
competition?
haven't actually, no.
Did anyone go through a phase of thinking the mince pies was meat?
Yeah.
Never.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't like them. So for me, like one mince pie is too many mince pies.
Oh, really?
But I'm just But I
Is it the
used to-
raisins? Is it the bittiness of it? What is it you don't like? Is it just the actual taste?
I don't
'Cause
like
some
the
people hate
filling to
sultanas and
pastry
stuff.
ratio.
I'm not a fan of. Yeah.
There's too much pastry on a little mince pie. I quite like the open top ones or a well-filled one, but I feel like the balance is all off. Like a pie shouldn't be that small because it becomes very dry very quickly unless you're buying at like a premium vendor.
I love them.
Nah.
I
love
made
them.
ones with lids. Yeah, more pastry the better.
Lidded. Yeah, no, I think lidded. Because that stops them from drying, doesn't it?
Oh, I tell you what, I will settle for what my mum does, where she like pops the lid off with a spoon little spoonful of like brandy butter or brandy cream, puts it back on in like 5 minutes in the oven.
Oh, that
That's so
does
good.
sound
Yeah.
fantastic.
The nods of
Understood.
approval.
Bring her
Shout
along
out
to the
to
next
Jane.
podcast.
Jane. Yeah.
Should we have a little answer?
Yeah, please.
Go on.
Okay, so I was thinking, too many mince pies for what? Like, literally, what are you talking about? That was so I built the answer around. I don't really know.
You're so mean about my question.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Too many. You just said how many mince pies is too many?
Exactly. It's a self-contained
Okay,
question.
So here's what I've got. Too many to like hold in my fist. So I did a little experiment and I got 7. And above that was just
Is
unsustainable.
that all you can fit?
I could only fit 7. They were big.
Oh, one hand. All right.
Yeah,
I was
one hand.
picturing you
I
double-handed.
think 7's quite a lot.
7 I thought was quite good. It was quite a good balance, that.
How big were the mince pies?
They're sizable. Dinner plate
Standard.
size.
Your 6-pack size. So we're talking the same
Yeah,
as like
yeah.
a Kipling Bramley
Had to
apple.
buy 2 bloody
Yeah, I was
packs to
going
do
to
the
say, it's
experiment.
annoying that, isn't it? You
Yeah.
just cusped it into the second pack.
Unsustainable. Anyway, about the word sustain. Did you guys know about that the word sustainable is unsustainable?
No.
Oh, this sounds very
But this is
droll.
classic Matt taking a question of mine that he doesn't like and then forcing his own facts into it. So go on, tell us why sustainable isn't sustainable.
No, well, like
Have a quick nap.
you know how you can, you know how you can do like Google search to plot the usage of words versus
I
time.
didn't know that.
You can use Google to like plot, and it looks up kind of dictionaries and books and things.
Should
And
we
it,
do a few right now? Actually?
one of my favorite is milk, which follows almost exactly the same pattern as a tooth. And I think it's something to do with like the world wars and like people becoming more aware that they need to get more calcium on board because of the rationing. Anyway, so that's a good one. But no, the word sustainable, the increase in the use of the word sustainable is so great that if it carries on at this rate, it will get to a point where the only word left in the English language will be sustainable. So that's a warning to you all.
I thought you meant because sustainable is such a buzzword, everyone is going to change their habits, so you'll no longer need to use the word sustainable.
Yeah. So it will like fulfill
the
its own
growth isn't
prophecy
sustainable.
and then it will,
James,
Yeah.
what have you just looked up?
So I've just looked up the popularity of the search term long monologues.
As in, because I was doing a long
And there's actually been a steady decline until you start. I can see a spike right at the end there. Anyway,
neat.
so that's good to know. But that's in the United States.
Okay, so after that, I took how many mince pies is too many mince pies for if you were going to like put them in your bed, if you were sneaking out and you wanted to convince someone that you were still sleeping in the
Yeah.
bed,
And
right?
I don't like eating them, so that is why I use mince pies.
So if you wanted
Like
to
if you're
feel-
trying to catch Santa and you're in the cupboard and
Oh,
you're
my
like
days.
mince pie decoy, Santa
Exactly.
will
Did you
never
ever,
know I'm
did you
not
ever catch
there.
Santa? Did you ever catch him?
I saw him in the morning once, and I could have sworn my dad was in the room.
Your dad was there and Santa was there.
No, it was in.
I'm confused.
It
What
was
the science
like-
behind it.
Sorry.
Don't destroy my dreams. Here.
Yeah, that's. I was like on the verge of like killing dreams, so I just thought. I'd
My
just
dad
stop.
looks just like Santa as well. So.
I think that's actually quite clever to use mince pies because when they found it, they would then presumably have to eat a vast quantity of mince pies, and that'd take up further time, and they would not be able to run after you that quickly.
Yeah.
So it's very clever. Go on, tell us.
Go on,
Wait, what?
lads.
Oh, I was saying stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah,
to
you
fill a
were.
bed, you'd want about 1,000. After that, it'd be a
What?
bit too many.
1,000 to make a human-shaped
Yeah,
lump.
surprising how many you need.
You only need 7 for a hand.
Yeah, exactly. 7 for a hand.
The numbers don't add up, Matt.
Yeah.
I think it's 1,000. 1,000 makes sense. Look, think about an arm.
This is
That's
1% of your body.
Like 1, 2.
Is it?
Oh, that's about
3,
right,
4,
actually.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah,
I take it
maybe
all
a-
back. No, but this
You're
is 1% of your body. I was on a first aid course about burns, and if your it's your 4 fingers. So if you take your thumb off your hand,
Yeah.
that area
Yeah.
Surface
is
area, is it?
1% of the surface area. So that's how you can tell like how
I
severe a
reckon.
burn is.
700
Okay,
mince
1,000
pies.
would be too many.
Thank
I think we
you.
can all settle on that.
Admit that you're
1,000 would be too many mince pies. Right. How many would be too many to eat if you wanted to fuel yourself to walk around the world? If it were all land and you could just keep walking. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't need any more than 30,000. More than that would be too many.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Fuel yourself to walk around the entire world. How much fuel do you reckon it takes to fuel a bee to fly around the world?
As much fuel as it takes you to focus on my question and just answer.
Take a
Nice one.
Say
Thanks,
like
guys.
2 or 3
That was
Two or
such a
three.
zinger.
2 or 3 spoons of honey, I think. 2 or 3 little
That it?
yeah,
Wow, it's
teaspoons.
so efficient. Isn't it?
So efficient.
Why are they all dead then?
Yeah, bees are so much more efficient than us. But you take, good Take 30,000 would be too many anyway, because I made sure I overcalculated all of them because the question was about too many mince pies.
Oh, nice.
So what about how many such that because obviously if the sun were made of mince pies, then it'd be pretty much just as hot. Everyone knows that. But how many mince pies would you need to make a star so big that it probably wouldn't be stable anymore? And I calculated about 600,000 billion. Which is a really relatable, useful number. So
it's too many mince pies.
That would be too many. But then I also found out that, it's really difficult to overdose on vitamin K, but there's quite a lot of vitamin K in mince. Difficult to overdose on vitamin K because you can't physically eat enough mince pies, really. But newborn babies are a little more sensitive to it. So theoretically, if you did, if a baby did set themselves on eating a massive mountain of mince pies and not stopping, then that could be too many mince pies as well. And that is the end of my answer. There you go, Sophie. Are you pleased?
I'm proud of you, Matt. You struggled through a question that you hated, and you managed it. So well done.
And now for the mystery midsection. Just before we started the show, I gave everyone the following question.
Christmas time is, as we all know, the time when perfume adverts come out from hibernation. But why is Calvin Klein's obsession for men so dangerous?
I then asked everyone to write down a fictional but reasonable sounding answer. I will now read out all of those answers and the real answer mixed in. Everyone will then get a chance to decide which answer they think is right. The solvent can cause almost instantaneous drying of the eyes. The bottle is shaped such that babies under a year old can fit it into their mouths but not get it back out. The scent Obsession contains trace amounts of chloroform. Spouses and lovers have been knocked unconscious while taking big whiffs of their significant other's clothing when doing so in the act of longing. Large cats, cougars, etc. love it. And number 5, it makes you so attractive that you are crushed under a pile of potential suitors.
So it's obsession. Obsession is the name of the perfume. It's not that Calvin Klein has an unhealthy obsession for men. Or maybe he does. Well, he doesn't
Read it any way you
We
want.
do go to the same 12-step program for that. I see him there.
Good. So, what do you think?
I think the bottle shaped one is interesting. It made me think of like a fist. Like, isn't it? Some people can you like get a fist in your mouth and then not get it out again?
Do it. In it goes. Okay, we're about 20% of the way in. Bit more squeeze.
I can't.
Almost dilated enough.
That's it.
Chloroform in a perfume. Surely that can be allowed, and enough that you could just inhale it.
No. See, when it says
Does that
trace
smell
amounts,
like chloroform to you?
No, but like surely it would help it dissolve. Like maybe it's part of the solvent, and then in such small amounts to be like.
Yeah, you're very protective over that answer.
Yeah,
Fran.
No, actually, now you think about it. No,
Think about it.
Could be good.
It's
Yeah.
so sensible.
Yeah,
It's so sensible and logical.
Yeah,
But
I'm convinced. I'm
chloroform
convinced.
is,
Yeah. But you did actually circle chloroform in as well. I think the cougars love it. That's so funny. That's great. And that is dangerous. But why is it dangerous though? Could be a friendly cougar.
Right. So, what are we all thinking?
Oh wait, the eyes drying. We've
Dry
not
your
talked
eyes,
about
mate.
that
I'm all about
one.
the dried eyes.
That's interesting. I'm gonna go for the shape of the bottle. I like that a lot.
Shape of the bottle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the shape of the bottle.
The bottle.
Fran, why don't you go for the chloroform?
Fran, what
one?
you gonna go
I liked
for?
it so much.
I
Yeah,
do
the
like
chloroform
it, but
one sounds pretty
You've
good.
all put me
doesn't
off it. You put me off it.
Chloroform sounds good. Just so everyone knows, chloroform is this really primitive anesthetic that they use to put people to sleep.
Or if
Just
you're
in case
kidnapping
anyone
someone
missed
in a
that.
movie.
Yeah,
someone,
put
yeah,
it on a
yeah.
rag and then.
So wait, so everyone done answers?
Fran, what are you going for? You going
Dried eyes.
dried eyes.
Dried ice.
I'm
eyes.
going to
Dry
go
eyes.
shape of bottle as well. Right. So what?
you know the
You know the answer.
What could it possibly be? So the actual answer
Yeah.
is not the bottle. That was my answer. So
No.
I've absolutely rinsed it.
Wait,
and
it must have been. Wait, it must have been the chloroform.
So the actual answer is the
No, it's not
large
like-
cats.
What?
So
No.
So Calvin
I thought that was a
Klein's-
joke about older women.
Yeah, same.
Well, it was both, wasn't it? It
What
was
a
it was the
superb
correct
answer.
answer and a joke about old women. So basically zookeepers have realised that big cats really enjoy aftershaves, particularly Calvin Klein's Obsession.
No.
And they will actually spray it on rocks within the enclosure in order to attract them to a particular location for spectators and whatnot.
Wow.
And so, they cuddle against it, take long sniffs, usually for about 11 minutes.
Have they ever been knocked
on average.
out?
Crap.
Oh
Do they ever find unconscious big cats after taking in too much chloroform?
There's no chloroform.
Who sponsors chloroform ants? Because I've got no idea.
I mean, I think it was probably mine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so pro the chloroform answer.
Oh, Fran, no, I thought
Self promotion.
Fascinating.
Wait, who was the dry eyes? No.
Oh,
Fran.
still squeaked a point out.
Always gets a point.
Whiffy.
Always.
Should I ask one?
Yes, please, Fran.
I'd really like to know which star the wise men were following.
The North Star. No. The Bethlehem Star. No.
The Christmas star. It's got lots
What's
of
it
names in the common
called?
vernacular, but I want to know, like,
Wait, no, it's not
Is it
meant
a
to be.
star
It's
we
not
can
meant to
name?
be the North Star, is it? It's not. It's
I don't know.
different.
It's what I mean.
Milky Way
I'm
magic
just
stars
gonna
or Milky Way?
Magic stars.
Magic stars.
But then without the Milky Way, there would be no magic star.
What's that thing that people always say about American chocolate not being proper chocolate?
Oh, it tastes like sick,
Crud.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's horrid.
Why?
Because it's not got as much sugar in it, I think.
More milk
as
solids, I
ours.
think, as well.
Someone told me something about how the milk solids that they used originally were kind of like slightly gone off, but then it just became like a flavor that became I don't know if that's true though. But I know that they like their rules about naming chocolate are different, so they don't have to put any cocoa butter in at all, right?
Something
Oh, I
like
didn't
that.
know that.
That does ring a
Chocolate's
bell.
like fun. It's different. I think.
Whereas we'd have to say, like, this is a chocolate flavored.
bar.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Whereas they can just. Yeah, I was really disappointed by American chocolate. I remember when I had it. Yeah, Elizabeth
Yeah.
Brown was the little girl on my school bus, and she gave me like a little Hershey's chocolate, and then I was like, but she was really cute, so I had to pretend it was nice, but it was so gross.
Okay, here's a riddle. If two buses are driving towards one another at 50 miles per hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they both start 100 miles apart. Yeah? There's 100 miles between them and two buses driving towards one another at 50 miles per hour. And then a super fast fly, sets off from the windscreen of one to the other at 100 miles per hour. And as soon as it gets to the windscreen of the other, it flies back to the other and it goes back and forth at 100 miles per hour over and over again until the two buses collide. How far does the fly go?
100 meters.
100
100
meters?
miles, sorry, 100 miles.
I mean, I wasn't writing any of that down.
Yeah,
'cause I thought
100 miles. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Boom! Easy. Correct it. Wait, do you just wear that?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well, there we go.
Good
so
work.
the star.
Right, start.
Good. Start a class.
So yeah, the buses are 100 miles apart and they're driving at 50 miles per hour.
Yeah,
So they will each travel 50 miles within 1 hour
Yeah.
and meet each other.
yeah,
So then the maximum distance between the buses is decreasing from 100 to 50.
yeah.
So that's 50 and you double it because the fly does it twice.
Yeah, mate. That's the way of thinking about it.
So the star. the wise.
Oh, yeah, the star,
the
right, yeah.
wise men's star that they were following.
Okay, so how wise were these men? Let's start
they
with
were
that.
they were very
Mate, that must have been
wise.
so clever.
They were like mathematicians. They were very smart.
What was the worst gift as well? Gold, frankincense, myrrh.
So I don't really know much
Frankincense, ovs.
I was once given,
no,
as
was
a
it me?
family, we were given a family present. And I got the job of opening it up on Christmas Day. I was like, yes, I'm going to open this. That was great. I had a little feel of it. I was like, ooh, sounds a bit rubbish, but we'll give it a go. Open it up, and it was just a bag of cotton wool balls.
That's lovely.
Was it a prank?
No, it's like an
was that
older,
from?
quite like
I was going to say, were you all old
stiff-lipped
ladies?
couple, like family friends. And then like the next year we got a pack of 5 simple soap.
Oh.
I'm not sure they were very
Soap
well.
makes more sense, but the cotton wool balls.
balls is useful.
Cotton wool balls, yeah.
That can come in real handy
Oh
in
my
a pinch.
days.
Mad, isn't it?
Which of the gold, frankincense, and myrrh? Which one
What's
represents
the embalming
death?
one? Yeah.
Yeah, there's one that's like
Frankincense.
I thought it was me. I
Might be
thought
myrrh.
that, and then maybe it's myrrh.
Yeah,
I think myrrh's the one you don't want.
because isn't that the
It's like getting your tombstone on the day you're born, isn't it?
yeah. And is it
Reminder there, isn't it?
in We Three Kings, isn't it? Because it's like We Three
remind
Kings.
us.
Of Orient.
Yeah, and then when it's like myrrh is mine, it's bitter perfume. It's like it says like reeks of death or something like that. I was like, it's a bit sad.
Reads
Isn't
the
it?
life of gathering glue. Yeah, mate.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't say reeks of death. I changed the lyrics of the hymn.
So has anyone got an answer to this?
Yes, I do.
Slide it out.
Oh my days! Turns out, guys, shock horror wasn't even a bloody star they were following.
Say
I
They're stupid.
No. Oh my goodness. So obviously in the sky, like stars stay in the same position relative to one another. And the word planet, because the planets kind of move in relation to all the stars, planet is actually from the Greek for wandering star. So one is that obviously the way the story is told, it says that the star it was a wandering star. That tells us that it wasn't a star. But there's a thing where, so when our Earth overtakes other planets when they're moving past, that means that a planet in the sky will look like it's changing direction. Because obviously as the Earth passes it, it's like, ooh, like if you're passing a car or whatever.
Oh, kind of wobble.
Yeah, kind of wobble. So that maybe have been a thing, this kind of planet switching. So it was like a wandering star, it changed direction. They were following that. But actually, there was just a few rare astronomical events that went on. So there was one that's called a triple conjunction, which was basically two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, came really close together in the sky 3 times over a very short period of time. So, like, that is super, super rare. Like, it happens about once every 900 years. So the wise men, they were like, whoa, Jupiter and Saturn are, like, bumping together quite a lot. Something is going on here. There's another thing, basically, star in the east is a translation of the Greek ente Anatole, which is basically a very specific astronomical event where a planet basically rises above the horizon just before the sun appears. So in the morning, just before the sun comes up, the planet appears. And so it may appear really bright and like, whoa, and then the sun comes and then you can't see the planet anymore.
Yeah.
So that's super rare. And so a mix of this planet appearing just before the sun and the wandering star, planet switching directions, and Jupiter and Saturn bumping together, all these things probably came together to make the 3 wise men, the
Absolutely
Magi,
pop off.
be like, oh geez, what is happening here? So and actually I read a really interesting thing that was like, if you look at the timings of it all, the wise men probably like realized that something was going down, but by the time they got to Jesus, he was already a toddler. So like, yeah, they were a bit late to the party, but they got to the party.
Oh, so they arrived late, did they?
Well, supposedly, yeah, because I don't know how people do this. It's mad, isn't it? Like, they've like said, oh, on this day, it says April 17 of 6 BC, the helical rising of Jupiter. It's like, how do you even know that happened? But yeah, so then they've like basically timed when they think these events would have happened, timed when that would have made the wise men go, oh, let's head over there. And then, yeah, they were like, they probably would have arrived when Jesus was in the terrible 2s or something like that.
Can you imagine being promised a new ruler and son of God and you turn up and he's just like teething? You're like, this is the pits.
The absolute pits. Oops. But yeah, so to answer the question, the wise men weren't following a star, but they were following their very smart mathematical thinking and astronomical vibes.
Well, thanks, Sophie.
You're welcome.
And we have arrived at the end. Points have been allocated by our producer, Sam Lee, according to a system that none of us were aware of until now. Sam, what's the verdict?
Well, things in the studio are relatively orderly. Not so outside the piece of string recording venue today, where we had a little Christmas cracker creation competition, the results of which have determined the outcome of the scores of this week's podcast. In last place, Matt went for a pretty straightforward silver fulminate. No, he's won it in the past. He has won it.
When?
You won it.
Never won. I only won when everyone else died.
Yeah, I feel like you have won it other times as well.
Come on, you can't mess with
Well,
scores.
you're just going to have to
You made a
create.
better cracker, that's
You're going to have
it.
to make better
All right,
crackers,
okay.
Matthew. as it stands, your silver fulminate, that's a pretty standard cracker core I've read, was,
Fulminate.
Fulminate? Silver fulminate.
Fulminate. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's silver fulminate core produced a modest but festive explosion. In third place, Sophie, similar result with your gunpowder injected cracker core. That's potassium nitrate, charcoal, and sulfur in scientific terms. Fran kicked off festivities slightly more dramatically, leveling half the neighbourhood with your trinitrotoluene, aka TNT cracker. I'm surprised we're all still here, to be honest. But James, you're today's winner, going above and beyond the call of duty and warming our Christmas cockles with the intense blast caused by your plutonium-239 cracker, the primary fissile isotope in nuclear weapons. Well done, James. Great effort.
Thanks, James.
I'm surprised. I thought my idea had bombed.
Wow. Blimey.
That's the sound of a nuclear holocaust.
And on that note, a very Merry Christmas to all.
Yes, Merry Christmas. For now, thanks to Sophie Ward,
Merry Christmas.
Fran Grimes,
Merry Christmas.
James Wells.
Merry, 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 merry Christmas.
That's quite
Christmas.
enough, James. That's quite enough. Matthew Shrubman, that's me. Our producer, Sam Lee, and to Unbound for their generosity in hosting and supporting us. You can follow us on social media by searching A Piece of String or String Podcast.
If you want to see what I'm up to, watch videos about bits of science that I find interesting, you can check out my YouTube and Twitter at Soph's Notes.
And if you'd like to learn about many and various scientific curiosities from a man in a bath or otherwise located, you can follow me on social media by searching Science in the Bath or Matthew Shrubman.
If you have a quirky question of your own that you'd like a scientific answer for, then please reach out to us on any of our social media channels.
Thanks for listening. Please rate and review us on Spotify, iTunes, etc. It makes a really big difference in spreading the word. We'll be back again in a fortnight, and as usual, let's never speak of any of this ever again. Also, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.